On today's Philadelphia 76ers now, we have some big injury news, not for the Sixers, but it definitely will affect the Philadelphia 76ers for the Miami Heat and Tyler Herro. Not good news for the Heat. Also on today's show, Ricky Council, if you recall, back a couple of months ago was waived by the Philadelphia 76ers, back on the market. The Sixers look at a potential reunion with the former UDFA that they did sign to a 4-year contract at one point. Unfortunately, did not really work out with this team. We'll get into both of those topics here on today's 76ers Now. Jake Chipper here with you. But before we get into all of that, we have some real basketball to finally talk about. It's finally coming up here. I know it's September 22nd. You might not feel like the NBA is that close to returning. Well, news for you, 76ers training camp actually starts this Wednesday. Media day is on Friday, and the preseason will be here before you know it. The regular season just about a month away, and I'm so excited that we can start talking about actual basketball again and pretty soon see the Sixers take the floor as the preseason gets underway October 2nd, October 4th against the New York Knicks in Abu Dhabi. That's why the Sixers and the Knicks have a little bit of an accelerated training camp preseason schedule. They'll play those two games over there internationally, and the Sixers will come home to host the Magic and the Timberwolves to round out the preseason. Very exciting stuff that we get some actual NBA basketball, even if it is the preseason, here coming up soon. So with that all being said, now that we're getting back into the swing of things, back into the regular season, you guys got to stay informed, and you can do that by hitting that sub button, subscribing to the channel for all things Sixers all year long. We keep you up to date with all the latest Sixers news, rumors, analysis, and a whole lot more. Even a show like today, where we talk about some other news happening around the NBA that impacts the Philadelphia 76ers. We're trying to hit 24,000 subs here on the channel, so if you're new here, I encourage you, hit that sub button. I'd really, really appreciate it. So let's get started with this Tyler Herro news. Came out a few days ago that Herro was dealing with a little bit of an ankle injury. They were unsure of the timeline. And then the Miami Heat tweeting on September 19th that Tyler Herro did undergo successful surgery to alleviate posterior impingement syndrome in his left ankle. The important thing to know here, Herro is expected to miss about 8 weeks, and that is from a few days ago. So that's going to take him into about mid to late November at this current timeline. And what's interesting with this injury is that it's actually been Herro has been dealing with it for quite a while now. Anthony Chiang, Miami Heat insider, saying that the ankle foot impingement has been bothering Herro since the middle of the summer, received some PRP, cortisone injections in recent weeks, hoping that he was going to avoid the surgery, but the discomfort never subsided. Surgery deemed necessary to avoid more issues down the road. So this is something he could have handled over the offseason. But of course, if you don't have to get the surgery, I guess you do try to avoid it. But the surgery was deemed necessary, so he will have that surgery. He will be out 8 weeks, again, taking him until almost December at this point, depending on how fast he can recover from that surgery. And look, this is big news for the Sixers and some other Eastern Conference teams. Of course, Tyler Herro himself is a very good player, right? Now, Nick Roloff hosts the Miami Heat Report. Some other Heat fans on Twitter, I've seen this debate, Tyler Herro, Tyrese Maxey, who's the better player? Look, I think Maxey's a better player, no doubt about it. But Herro, for what he is, a very good offensive player, not someone that I think is going to carry your squad, but a very important player for the Miami Heat. They don't have a whole lot of guard depth. They did make some moves in the offseason that I did like, but without Herro now, like, what does this Miami Heat team look like, right? A guy that's going to give you 20-plus points a game, all of a sudden out of your rotation. So, of course, they bring in Norman Powell in the offseason. They still have Bam Adebayo. Andrew Wiggins, I think, is being severely overrated by a lot of Miami Heat fans. Nikola Jovic, still relatively unproven. More hope for him than what he's actually been able to show on the floor. Davion Mitchell, a really good defender. But, look, this isn't a great starting five, as you can see right here on your screen. So, without Tyler Herro being there now for the Miami Heat, it really does kind of take them out, not of contention necessarily, because I didn't really think they were in contention anyways. But look, the Miami Heat are always a team that seems to be a thorn in the Sixers' side. Even if the Sixers have had some more success recently over Miami than in the past, the Heat, throughout this offseason and really, the past couple months, as teams are projections are being released by, ESPN, Bleacher Report, things like that, and people are talking about the potential outlook of the Eastern Conference, the Heat are a team that are usually right around the Sixers in those conference standings. So now to see a team like the Heat, who are going to be without Tyler Herro for the first 15 to 20-ish games of the season, that's a big, big hit to a roster that, again, is already not super talented. So for a team that will be fighting for positioning in the East with Philadelphia, for them to deal with a big injury like this early on, of course, we never want injuries to anybody across the league, right? And we know enough about injuries here for the Sixers, and we're praying for Tyler Herro, hoping he can have a swift, quick recovery. It's going to help the Sixers a little bit that the Heat are going to be at least a little bit shorthanded to begin the season. Now, as far as this impacts the actual 76ers versus Miami Heat matchups, that November 23rd game is the first time Philadelphia will match up with Miami this season. That's right around when they expect Tyler Herro to be making his return. So we'll see if he is back for that game. If not, he could be out a little bit more into November/December. Regardless, though, he's not going to be at full strength, you don't think, for that game. But then they don't face again until February 26th and March 30th. You assume he'll be back at full strength by that point, as both teams, hopefully are making a playoff push. But we'll see if Herro does, in fact, end up missing that game on November 23rd. And look, this just adds to the amount of injuries we have seen in the Eastern Conference dating back to the end of last season, right? Of course, the Jason Tatum and Tyrese Halliburton Achilles injuries, just devastating injuries, right? Things you absolutely never want to see. And I know this is an Eastern Conference, but this just happened, so I wanted to mention it as well. The Fred VanVleet torn ACL for the Rockets, man, that absolutely sucks for them. But, back to the Eastern Conference injuries that affect the Sixers a little bit more. Tatum, Halliburton, sucks. Get better soon. Hopefully they come back next season and they're back to their old selves. Darius Garland for the Cavs is expected to miss some time to start the regular season as he deals with a toe injury. And the Cavs have dealt with injuries in the past to various players, Evan Mobley, Donovan Mitchell, Jared Allen. And then now Tyler Herro, add him to the list of injuries to teams in the Eastern Conference. The Sixers, surprisingly, looking like one of the healthier teams right now. Knock on wood, of course, with their injury-prone players. But we'll see as we get closer and closer to the start of the season if the Sixers actually can take advantage of these banged-up teams in the East. Be honest with me right now. What is your current confidence level as we head into training camp, head into preseason in this version, the 2025-26 version of the Sixers team? Forget last year. Forget the past couple of years. What is your current confidence level as we sit here on Monday, September 22nd? Scale it for me. 1 being you have no confidence. 10, you think they're going to win the NBA title easily, or somewhere in between. 1 through 10 down in the comment section. Now, coming up next here on today's show, got to talk about Ricky Council because he was released by the Sixers back a couple of months ago. We thought he was signing with the Brooklyn Nets. That deal never quite became official. Could we see a potential reunion with Ricky Council and the 76ers here in the next couple of days? We'll get to that just around the corner. But first, I got to tell you guys about a fantastic deal that you need to take advantage of right now before it is too late. This 76ers tumbler, great for cold drinks, hot drinks. Look, I know it's NFL season right now. You wake up in the morning, want a coffee, want a tea. You can put it in here. Late night, you want a drink. You can put it in here. This tumbler, only $12 right now on sale, but there's only 6 of them left at this moment of recording, so you got to take advantage fast. Chatsports.com/76tumbler. You see the link right below me. It'll also be in the comment section and description of today's show. You go to that link, and you can get this tumbler while it is on sale. Again, just $12, only 6 of them left. Take advantage before it is too late. All right, let's get to the latest on Ricky Council. So back on August 1st, Shams Charania reported that Ricky Council was going to sign a 1-year deal with the Brooklyn Nets after appearing in a team-high 73 games last season for the Sixers, averaging 7 points and just under 3 rebounds a game. We were a little bit upset with the release. We understood why they did it, right, with some of the two-way guys they have in their contract, and Ricky Council wasn't all that great last season. But, we thought good opportunity for him to go to a bad Nets team where he can get some more minutes, he can show out and up his value once again. But just yesterday, Nets Daily, who huge, account organization that covers the Brooklyn Nets, very, very trustworthy. It's been reported more since then, revealed that Ricky Council will not actually be joining the Brooklyn Nets. So the Nets never actually, as a team, announce the Ricky Council contract. It's one of those rare scenarios where Shams reports something that he hears that has been agreed upon but not actually official yet. Well, the deal did end up falling through, so a big change there for Brooklyn. Now, you might be wondering, well, why did this never happen? I mean, it was reported on August 1st. It's been almost 2 months now. Well, also according to Nets Daily, apparently there is an injury situation going on with Ricky Council. I tried to dig into this a little bit and see if I could find what the injury was, or of course you see here, no idea of severity. I try to see if I could find some details on the severity, what the injury is. Of course, if you are looking at bringing him back to Philly, and I really couldn't find anything. I'm sure we'll get some more details in the next couple of days here, but let's explore the idea of potentially bringing Ricky Council back. Now, I'm not sure it would be for a regular roster spot. In fact, I doubt it would be, but let's just talk about Council for a moment here. You know, that first year with the Sixers, didn't play a whole lot of games, but look, when he played, he looked pretty promising, right? A great athlete, someone you hoped would be a real defensive playmaker with a steadily improving offensive game, although maybe not quite as steadily improving as you hoped it would be. And then entering year two, had a lot of expectations to at least improve a little bit, right? And played a lot of games with all the injuries, but was not able to take advantage. The shooting percentages were really not good, and just still seemed like the game was moving too fast for him. He was always playing at 1,000 miles per hour. Of course, did get a deal from the Sixers before last season. Very quickly, the Sixers had decided to move on from Ricky Council, and pretty unfortunate timing for him as it comes with this news that he will not be signing with Brooklyn. As I mentioned, training camps are getting underway this week and next. Most rosters and most training camp rosters, you can carry up to 20 bodies, I believe, into training camp with 15 guys on the active roster, 3 two-way spots, and then 2 additional people you can just bring in for training camp on non-guaranteed training camp deals. Most teams' rosters are full at this point, so going to be tough for him to find a spot. I believe that he does belong somewhere in the NBA, at the very least, on a 2-way deal. It'd be a shame if he does have to go overseas. Nothing wrong with having to go play overseas and up your value. It does work for a lot of players, but I believe he is at least worthy, especially with his young age, of being on an NBA roster. But again, unfortunate for him that many rosters are full. Now the question becomes, for the Sixers, I don't think they have a roster spot for him right now. Technically, the Sixers have a couple open roster spots waiting for Quentin Grimes, and we'll see what else they do, but I don't think this would be a regular rotation roster spot for Ricky Council. So the question is, would he return to the G League team? That's really where I could see him potentially coming back. All 3 of the Sixers' 2-way spots are filled, so even though he is still eligible to sign a 2-way, I don't think he's going to be signing a 2-way for the Sixers because their spots are full. Would he want to return to the G League team? I seriously doubt it at this point. Regardless, if he comes back to Philly or not, I doubt it does happen. I would like to see him sign somewhere else with another team. It's a shame that the situation fell through. I'm hoping the best for him, but I just don't think that best is going to come in Philadelphia. I'll let you get your opinion in, though, here on today's show. What say you? Should the 76ers bring back Ricky Council? Just give me a yes or no down in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts, and we'll catch you next time right here on 76ers Now.